Hello, true readers. Ron Gavlik here, and as promised, I have decided to increase my interview vlogging. I am joined today with by Lori Beth Jones, the program director of the Pittsburgh Poetry Collective. Hello, Lori.
Hello, Ron. It's so good to see you.
Right back at you, my friend. You and I met at a collective maybe 5 or 6 years ago, or at a poetry slam about 5 or 6 years ago. Um, and that was at the former Brillo Box bar in what is that, Bloomfield, or is that considered Lawrenceville there on Penn Avenue?
I think that's Bloomfield, but I am not so good at where everything starts and finishes.
Yeah, that's fine. Now you guys were there for a number of months from what I can remember. Why is it you had to move and go over to Capri Pizza in East Liberty?
Um, at that time, I wasn't on Facebook at all, and I was running the slams and Pittsburgh Poetry Collective shows with Adriana Ramirez and some folks, and it was in a transition period. So Adriana was away teaching for the summer, and we didn't have a regular day at Brillo Box, and there were times when we would find out just a handful of days in advance when we were going to have the space for the slam that month.
So
And
this
it just
wasn't a situation where a bar decided that you guys weren't profitable enough for them to be there?
I not that I'm aware of, no.
Okay. That's what I wanted to know because it's something I've always been curious about, because I noticed that the slam moves around from place to place sometimes rather than just having a permanent home.
It
And I think that
does.
maybe that's why, because they seem to think that they're going to make X amount of dollars off of people coming in there. And if that doesn't happen, they kick you out.
Yeah, a lot of we've moved for different reasons and the same reason. Different times, I think, when have moved. A lot of times we get to follow our service professional who obviously likes us, our bartender or what have you. Um, or even, we have a brewery manager that likes us a lot and that knows that we bring like a pretty solid group of people on a random weeknight who are willing to buy things. So as long as there's space available, I think it's a pretty decent trade-off as far as that goes. But I think when there's staff changeover, um, we have absolutely moved with our staff just because a new bartender will come in and be like, I don't understand these poetry people. I would make more money if we had a DJ, or like, I don't. eh, And I mean, people just kind of don't get it that you can have a poetry show like every week or every month, and a bunch of people will still come to it and be participatory. Like whenever I tell people that, I feel like to a large extent they don't always believe me that it's true, even
Yeah,
though it's
yeah.
actively happening.
And that's kind of what I'm trying to get to the root of. People, if you build it, they will come, right?
In
And
my experience,
mine too. So, okay, so that kind of gives me a segue into the next thing. I want to talk about a little bit about the differences between what you guys do and what I do, right? So there is what I refer to as not what I refer to, but what is called slam poetry, and then what I refer to as literary poetry. Would you agree that that is a recognizable difference?
I fully disagree. I do not think that those two things um, uh, are different per se, because every type of writing has many, many different styles of presentation, phrasing, vocabulary, what have you. I know people like to say that there's a thing, and there are people in the Pittsburgh Poetry Collective who say that there's a thing called slam poetry and that's different from other poetry, and I disagree.
I believe that's true because I see slam poetry as almost a little bit closer to musical performance, with literary poetry being a little bit closer to literature. You know, and you believe that slam poetry is simply literature that's just spoken aloud.
No, I believe that if it is not happening actively at a poetry slam where there is a competition factor and someone is going to win, it's just poetry slash spoken word.
Do you believe? Let me ask. Let me go around a different direction with
The
this.
slam is the venue, not what's being presented in it, in my opinion.
Then let's just talk about spoken word performance. Let's not use the word slam.
Okay.
I want to go a different direction around this argument with you.
Okay.
Okay. Um, do you believe that the way spoken word is presented has anything to do with the quality of the work?
No, I've seen good ones and I've seen bad ones in all of the above.
So the raising of voice, the timbre, the quality, the emotions of the poet on stage, these don't have anything to do with the quality of the presentation.
I mean, you can stage and script a poem that is bad. You can trick people into thinking that it's good because you're a good reader or you have a great voice or you could like make people feel feelings. It's just like a song. People love songs that are bad. People are affected by songs that are objectively not good. I think poems are the same as that.
Okay, that's fair.
I mean, I think that some of any performance is kind of that little bit of emotional manipulation, and we all signed up for it.
I just tend to believe that spoken word performed poetry is a little bit more of a multimedia experience, if I can use that term, right? It's not just the written work, it's the performance of the work.
I agree with that.
Yeah. Okay. So okay. And I think that's what makes it different, right? What I want when I have a reader, I need to enlighten them on what I'm trying to tell them simply through the words. I can't dance around to make them understand. I have to do it through the words. And the person on the stage has to perform in a way that reaches the audience, and they're not the same. I just don't see them as the same thing. I think they're cousins. And I absolutely love spoken word poetry, but I don't perform it, right? And that's just I wanted to kind of like flesh that out a little bit.
Okay.
Because I love you guys and I love what you do. Now I was reading on your website, you guys make lyrical mayhem. You shrugging your shoulders? What? I think that's a cool term.
I do. I mean, I
And I
am
wanted to
very
ask, like, what makes lyrical mayhem? What is that?
I'm very attached to what's on our website. I'm also like everything else. I know it's your job right now to ask me questions. I'm like, oh, I don't. It's like having a writing workshop where I'm like, I'm not really ready to like interrogate that really closely right this second. No, I can do it. But my like knee jerk reaction is always like, no, I don't want to get too far into that because I don't know where I'll wind up, which is fine. Lyrical
End
mayhem.
up in the woods. No one minds. It's okay. Go.
No, lyrical mayhem. I mean,
You have to get drunk. You see, if you get
in
drunk,
the,
then you don't care what the answers are. See, that's
I mean, I still care what the answers are. Like, what if I listen to them later and I'm like, oh no,
then
I
you
can't
say you
believe.
comment on the YouTube video. You say, "Hey, Ron, this is not what I meant. What I meant was this."
Oh, okay. I love to get in a comment section. Anyway, like I let's not go on too many tangents. Gonna try to give you too many tangents. Um, the spirit of like the world history of poetry slam, in which I'm not any type of um a scholar. I've just been an observer for a long period of time. It's very like it's it's part of like a DIY kind of like, well, we're just going to do this thing and we're going to go into a space that doesn't expect us to be there doing poetry, and our poetry and our performances are loud. We want you to be involved in them. We want you to be enjoy yourself and maybe like come across something that you didn't expect. Um, and so I guess and we do that through poems, spoken word um, poems. And with, there's judges and there's wooing and there's booing and there's call and response. And it's very animated. So I guess it's just like, I don't know, maybe to like a white flat paper reading that was some type of like a mayhem of an acting out of like a more, it's just different. It's totally different.
It's it's intense
Yeah.
in my view. The slams I've attended are intense and they're fun, and they can be very critical of the world around us, right? Which is the whole point.
Absolutely.
Um, Let me ask you a question. Is you believe poetry's role is to push against mainstream norms, right? To challenge what we already like, cemented thinking.
Um, I mean, I think so. I think that's definitely part of it. I think priority. I like to see priority be given to people being able to share their truth and tell each other about themselves. It's very it's very personal, and it's a very aggressive way to tell people something that might be very personal to you. um and I think the only thing that might change the world in some way is if we all like know more people and more things, because that's how we learn about each other and ourselves. But I have a hard time being like, oh, we're going to change the world, because I am a little bit of a nihilist, and I'm like, does does anything matter?
Okay.
So I have a hard
Once you
time.
start making
There
sound
are
effects, it's my time to
absolutely
interject.
okay. And then I was gonna say there are absolutely people who will be like, yes, it's good to change the world, and I'm like, okay, well, if let me know if I can help.
I mean, changing the world's great, but I mean, we have to define what the world is. I mean, there's a cosmos inside of each one of us. The mind is a cosmos in and of itself. So if changing the world means changing someone's mind or enlightening them or persuading them to an understanding of something, then I'd say yeah, it's changing the world. But really, it's just about each individual has to read or listen to or somehow absorb art, and then allow that to influence the way they interpret their truth and how they interpret the world in front of them. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay. You're agreeing with me too much, lady.
Well, I didn't know I was supposed to argue. I had a big day.
So when you're drunk, you want to argue. You just want to fight. It doesn't matter about what.
I totally disagree, and I totally saw a fight today.
Oh, a fist fight?
Yeah.
Was this at a department store, Christmas crazy, whatever?
Oh, but I wish it was. No, I don't. Not at all. I'm glad I wasn't at a department store. No, I went to the Steelers game.
Oh my God. There's a fight down there every game, at least one.
Well, I don't usually see them. I saw this one with my eyeballs. So I was like,
Was this between a opposing team fans?
yes, but it had nothing to do with it. Like a man just like ran into the stairwell and was like pushing people and like hanging on women, and he hung on the wrong person's like lady person, and he got fucking socked and he earned it. And it was just like, that's how that's gonna go sometimes. I don't think we should run around punching people, but I also think we shouldn't run around like pushing people or like getting all up on people who aren't into it. So I was like, yeah, you kind of had that coming.
Iron City beer is a hell of a drug.
it's, I'm, I guess so. I don't know. It's been a long time since we saw someone get punched in the face. Anyway, it was today.
Can you tell me a little bit about what the collective is up to and where people can go see some work and things like that?
Yeah, thank you. So the Pittsburgh Poetry Collective, we have such pretty shiny website. I know that Ron will link it for you. And it talks about all of our thingy-mabobs at pghpoetry.org. But we are currently the home of the Steel City Slam. The Steel City Poetry Slam has been happening since like the mid 90s. It under the under the shepherding of someone or other. And right now it's me. So like once a month ish, we have the actual a slam, like a poetry competition where you just show up, you sign up, and you read your original work in competition with other people who have also elected to do that on that same day. You get a score from judges in the audience, and then we're like, yeah, it totally makes sense to assign a numerical value to your original written work. It doesn't make sense. That's why it's fun. I don't know. It really is fun and I do really love it, and I'm also like, this is ridiculous. It is very weird. Um so we're at PA Market right now. We've been in the summer, we're out on their patio
Tell us where PA Market is.
in the strip district. It's I don't know the address of it. It's right across the street from Permiani's. It's like at like 18th or something. Um, they have a bunch of different spaces. It's like that whole block. I should know. 108 19th Street. But then we have almost every week, when we're not in person, we still are doing some Zooms.
And the Zooms began during the pandemic, right?
They did. We never had Zooms before. We were always, we never had any type of remote access. A lot of people didn't. I don't know of very many folks who did. So now you can go to an open mic, a reading in like any town. You can make friends all over these here United States, and read with your friends. Which is cool. I mean, it's a lot, and Zoom is not for everyone. Not everybody likes it. Um, but it has been fun to like check in on folks that I know from around the slam world and read and be in community with people from far away, in a new way. It's just like another tool, like shooting a text to somebody or whatever, to be in the little open mic and bing bong the chat. And so we used to have 4 different shows in 4 different places for the 4 weeks of the month. And so now that's kind of like at random times because we kept the times from the in-person ones. We had like an early show for early people from 6 to 8. That's Poetry and Pints. That's the one that I tell everyone is my favorite child.
And Poetry
Um,
and Pints is also a PA market.
no, so Poetry and Pints has been completely on Zoom
Oh, I
for the
see.
last 2.5 years, but we are currently looking at some possible homes for Poetry and Pints in the 2023, maybe.
Now, if my readers and I wanted to tune in to Poetry and Pints, um, does your Zoom link allow for people just to come and watch?
Just click it. I um I do like to ask everyone if they want to participate, and I give a poetry last call because I feel like sometimes people are like, oh, I just want to watch. And then, like, you get to feeling maybe a little bit braver after you've seen some other people read, and you're like, I could do that though. Like, my poem is pretty good. So, but nobody has to read uh, ever at all. So you can just come and be an audience member
A long
anytime.
time ago, wasn't Poetry and Pints held in Oakland at the can I not remember the name of the bar, right on Forbes Avenue? Um,
No, are you mean
Perhaps
Hemingway?
that's a different, yeah, Hemingway. Perhaps that's a
Hemingway's.
different program.
Hemingway's is a very long running summer series. Um, and now it was at Hemingway's in the back room, and now it is at White Whale, I think. It's at one of the bookstores now.
Okay, that's cool. Okay.
So Poetry and Pints started, G.S. Murphy started it at East End Brewing at the
How
original
many years
one,
ago was that?
the 2010s.
Tell us
Oh,
something
was it
fascinating.
two
Tell me who your favorite poet is, living or dead.
I should have been prepared for a question
Okay,
like
see, the
this.
easy answer was to say Ron, but
Oh
that's
yeah.
okay.
Oh yeah. Ron.
I'm kidding.
I I think this week, my favorite poet this week is, I think it's Patricia Smith.
Is she local?
No, no. She's like a fancy professor writer person. And I just found out about her. Like she was like Def Poetry Jam, I think. Like she's been around the horn for a really long time. But now she's like a professor and a writer, and she's very, very uh, famous, I guess. I don't know.
I've never heard of her, but okay, that's cool.
I feel weird, like if I want to at her on Twitter because I think she's too famous for it. So that's is there a bar for like how famous someone is? Is just if I feel willing to at them on Twitter about something,
So
or
I have a real problem with fame. I have a real problem with people who seek fame. If you want to seek fame, you should go like, like I guess hit the gym and like get half naked for like magazine covers and stuff. I don't know. Yeah, poetry shouldn't be a. I don't believe poetry should be or literature in any form should be a pathway to fame, and it usually isn't. The best authors, the best writers in this world no one's ever heard of, they died quietly.
it's true, but it always has been. Like a handful of people have always been, uh, have always gotten famous from writing or from
In the modern
literature.
era, sure, like Stephen King or someone like that, but John Grisham. But John Grisham could walk down the street and I wouldn't know who he was. The name's famous, but the person.
That's true. I mean, there used to be a lot fewer people. Like I'm thinking like you know, like way in the way back machine, like if Lord Byron went to a party that you were at, everybody knew that that was that that's who was there.
Among the ruling elite, sure. Did you think the working classes knew who Lord Byron was?
I don't know. They probably, a lot of them probably couldn't read.
Right. So they wouldn't have cared. They would have known he was like someone of like the aristocracy, the way he's dressed and the way he present himself, right? But that would have been about it, in my view. In my view.
That may be correct. That seems perfectly plausible. I am no expert in, the Regency or what have you, but
Now, good old Billy Shakespeare, or I'm sorry, Billy Shakespeare, would have been really probably well known. I think he was actually well known. I mean, we'd have to ask an academic for that kind of history, but he came from the working classes and he wrote for them, whether people understand that or not. But yeah, but Lord Byron,
I don't know. Lord Byron was like the first very old-timey poet that I could think of.
um, that's one of the topics I wanted to get into with you, but maybe we could just do it in like maybe in 1 minute, and that is the Pittsburgh Poetry Collective, the poets that come and read and perform. Um, one of the reasons why I love you guys so much is because you really do seem to serve the interests of working class people, and not you don't seem to be like interested in like impressing professors at CMU or academia or ruling elite people, right? The people come the times I've attended, I've heard very like real life lyrical mayhem, to use your term, that is based on the plight of working people and families. Do you agree that Poetry Collective pretty much serves those interests?
I think so. I think so. I mean, I think we want to be a space. Um, I think we want to be a space for everyone. And I think though that kind of like maybe some of the DIY feeling or of the like, well, I can just go and do this, even if I'm not bringing, an entourage, even if I'm not in a large group. I might still get like a high score, or might still get like a handful of people who are able to come forward and be like, hey, thanks for reading that. I'm really glad I got to hear it today. And because we try to just be somewhat egalitarian of just like everyone gets to interact with one another, I think that definitely like creates that kind of a playing field.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Um, so we have to go soon, but if you could just tell my readers and me just one more time the website they can go to in order to get links for the Zoom slams and for just to learn more.
Yeah. Hi. My name is Laura Beth Jones. I'm the whatever we said I was program director um, at the Pittsburgh Poetry Collective, and our website is pghpoetry.org. And there's some tabs across the top there. There are a lot of words there about what to expect if you come to a show. If those are things that make you feel better, I like to read all the words before I go somewhere when they're available. So that's why I wrote them all down. You do not need to know all of those things if that is doesn't suit your sauce. So you can just like go to the events, skip all the words, go to the events tab, and it will tell you where we're going to be next.
In other words, go to the site, bookmark the site, and then come back to the site
Yeah,
regularly.
over and over. It's a
And I'm
very
sure, I'm sure,
updated
I'm
now.
sure you have a Facebook page, right? So people
Yeah.
can.
Steel City Slam and Pittsburgh Poetry Collective and Poetry and Pints are all on Facebook separately from the olden days of Facebook.
Thank you so much, Lori Beth. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, everybody. Have a super duper day.
And to you, my true readers, thank you so much for tuning in. And I hope to have more interviews coming up in the future. Take care.